Okay. Hello there. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Days of Miracles. The Days of Miracles follow the Buddha's enlightenment, and he performed miracles so that the people at the time could generate faith in the teachings. So we're going to recite, or Chenrezig Institute, we're going to recite one of the three sutras, the Sutra of Golden Light, the Samgata Sutra, and the Vajra Cutter Sutra over this time. And also Chenrezig Institute will be joining up with Root Institute, who are reciting the Vajra Cutter Sutra on a couple of occasions, or maybe more than two, I'm not sure. So we'll hook in with them at 3 p.m. this afternoon. But I'm going to recite the Vajra Cutter Sutra today. We'll just get it done once, I think, before Root Institute, before we hook in with them. So we're just reciting these sutras with a motivation, of course, to benefit all sentient beings, and for all of our gurus, Kabja Lama's Rinpoche, Science of Dalai Lama's wishes to be fulfilled, and for all the centres to be able to serve sentient beings in the best way possible. And also, just before coming, I was reading about the family, the Tamil family, who've been detained on Christmas Island for some time now. It's just absolutely ludicrous that they're locking up families, especially children born in Australia. And there was meant to be a decision made today whether they could be reintegrated into the community with a visa. But anyway, I think that's been declined, but they're going to remain on Christmas Island. They're not sending them back to Sri Lanka at this stage. So also, just as a wish of mine, let's hold in our hearts that the merit that we accumulate from reciting these sutras may be a cause for this family to be resettled in Bilawila, where the community will lovingly accept them back in, and have requested them to be accepted back into the community. So may our government see the sense in offering kindness and compassion to these people, and making their lives beneficial for others. So I'm going to recite from the Samgata Sutra to start off with. There's a motivation toward the back of the book in the Appendix C, page 116. So we'll do a couple of prayers, and then I'll recite that what we visualize and what we think about while we're reciting the sutra. So just remembering too, during these days of miracles, that the merit that we accumulate is multiplied 100 million times, according to Lama Zopa Rinpoche. So may we dedicate that for the benefit of sentient beings, and for whatever you wish to dedicate that for. So we'll take refuge. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. The 7-limb practice. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since the beginning of this time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of psychic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. Offering a short mandala. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. And special request for the 3 great purposes. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and the 3 precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions, from incorrect devotion to the Guru, up to the subtle dual view of the white, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations, from Guru devotion up to enlightenment, in my mind and the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all the outer and inner obstacles to actualizing the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and the three precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions, from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the subtle jewel beyond the white, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations, from Guru devotion up to enlightenment, in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualize the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and the three precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions, from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the subtle jewel beyond the white, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations, from Guru devotion up to enlightenment, in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualize in the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all mother sentient beings. Idam Kuradnu Mandalakam Nayatayami. So we'll recite this mantra 7 times. Om Dare Dare Bendere Soha. 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 And so some of Rinpoche's advice while reciting the sutra. There are 2 ways to visualize while reciting sutras, and both can be done at the same time. Visualize that Buddha is giving you the teaching directly while you read the sutra, and you actualize realizations in your heart while you are reciting. When reciting, visualize that you are giving the teachings to sentient beings as you read the sutra out loud. Since dogs, cats, birds, spirits, and other living beings can hear you as you recite, you can invite the spirits and devas to listen as well. The sutra is medicine for the mind's delusions, where all sufferings come from. And when you read the sutra, visualize that you're giving teachings to the beings of all 6 realms, offering them the opportunity to actualize the path and be liberated from their delusions, defilements, karma, and suffering. As you recite or read, and when you have finished, visualize that you and all beings, the hell beings, animals, and so on, are purified by unfathomable numbers of nectar beams coming from the unfathomable nectar numbers of Bodhisattvas. On this basis, visualize clearly that you and all the beings receiving the teachings are generating extraordinary bliss and emptiness. So now we'll recite the sutra. So Vajra Cutter Sutra. So we're starting on page 5, the Vajra Cutter Sutra. I prostrate to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling at Shravasti in the grove of Prince Jeta, in the garden of Anathapindada, together with a great sangha of bhikshus, of 1,250 bhikshus, and a great many Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. Then, in the morning, having put on the lower and upper Dharma robes and carried the begging bowl, the Bhagavan entered the great city of Shravasti to request alms. Then, having gone to the great city of Shravasti to request alms, the Bhagavan afterwards enjoyed the alms food, and having performed the activity of food, since he had given up alms of later food, put away the begging bowl and upper robe. He washed his feet, sat upon the prepared cushion, and having assumed a cross-legged posture, straightened the body upright and placed mindfulness in front. Then many bhikshus approached the place where the Bhagavan was, and having reached there, bowing their heads to the Bhagavan's feet, circumambulated 3 times and sat to one side. Also at that time, the Venerable Subhuti, joining that very assembly, sat down. Then the Venerable Subhuti rose from the seat, placed his upper robe over one shoulder, set his right knee on the ground, bowed, joining the palms toward the Bhagavan, and said this to the Bhagavan: Bhagavan, the extent to which the Tathagata Arhat, perfectly enlightened Buddha, has benefited the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas with highest benefit the extent to which the Tathagata has entrusted the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas with highest entrustment. Bhagavan, it is astonishing, Siddhartha, it is astonishing. Bhagavan, how should one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva vehicle abide? How practice, how controlled the mind? That was said, and the Bhagavan said to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, well said, Subhuti, it is so, it is so. The Tathagata has benefited the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas with highest benefit. The Tathagata has entrusted the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas with highest entrustment. Subhuti, therefore, listen and properly retain it in mind, and I will explain to you how one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should abide, how practice, how control the mind. Having replied the Bhagavan, so be it. The Venerable Subhuti listened in accordance with the Bhagavan, and the Bhagavan said this, Subhuti, hear, one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva vehicle should generate the mind of enlightenment, thinking this, as many as are included in the category of sentient beings, born from egg, born from womb, born from heat and moisture, born miraculously, with form, without form, with discrimination, without discrimination but not without subtle discrimination. The realm of sentient beings, as many as are designated by imputation as sentient beings, all those I shall cause to pass completely beyond sorrow into the realm of nirvana without remainder of the aggregates. Although limitless sentient beings have thus been caused to pass completely beyond sorrow, no sentient being whatsoever has been caused to pass completely beyond sorrow. Why is that, Subhuti? Because if a bodhisattva engages in discriminating a sentient being, he is not to be called a bodhisattva. Why is that, Subhuti? If anyone engages in discriminating a sentient being, or engages in discriminating a living being, or engages in discriminating a person, they are not to be called a bodhisattva. Further, Subhuti, a bodhisattva gives a gift without abiding in a thing, gives a gift without abiding in any phenomena whatsoever. A gift should be given not abiding in visual form, nor should it be a gift be not given in abiding in sound, smell, taste, tactility, or phenomenon. Subhuti, without abiding in discriminating anything whatsoever as any sign, thus does a bodhisattva give a gift. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the heap of merit of that bodhisattva who gives a gift without abiding, Subhuti, it is not easy to take the measure of. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Do you think it is easy to take the measure of space in the east? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, similarly, do you think it is easy to take the measure of space in the south, west, north, above, below, the intermediate directions, and the 10 directions? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, similarly, the heap of merit of that bodhisattva who gives a gift without abiding is also not easy to take the measure of. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Is one viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. One is not viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. Why is that? Because that itself, which the Tathagata call perfect marks, are not perfect marks. He replied thus, and the Bhagavan said this to the Venerable Subhuti. Subhuti, to the degree there are perfect marks, to that degree there is deception. To the degree there are no perfect marks, to that degree there is no deception. Thus view the Tathagata as marks and no marks. He said that, and the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, in the future period at the end of the 500, when the holy Dharma will totally perish, will any sentient beings produce correct discrimination upon the words of sutras, such as this being explained? And the Bhagavan said, Subhuti, do not say what you have said. In the future period at the end of the 500, when the holy Dharma will totally perish, will any sentient beings produce correct discrimination upon the words of sutras, such as this being explained? Moreover, Subhuti, in the future period at the end of the 500, when the holy Dharma will totally perish, there will be bodhisattva mahasattvas endowed with morality, endowed with qualities, endowed with wisdom. Subhuti, those bodhisattva mahasattvas, moreover, will not have made homage to just a single Buddha. They will not have produced roots of virtue to just a single Buddha. Subhuti, there will be bodhisattva mahasattvas who have made homage to many hundreds of thousands of Buddhas and produced roots of virtue to many hundred thousands of Buddhas. Subhuti, those who will acquire merely a single mind of faith upon the words of such sutras as this being explained. Subhuti, the Tathagata knows. Subhuti, they are seen by the Tathagata. Subhuti, all those sentient beings will produce and perfectly collect an unfathomable heap of merit. Why is that, Subhuti? Because those bodhisattva mahasattvas will not engage in discriminating a self, and will not engage, not discriminate a sentient being, will not discriminate a living being, will not engage discriminating a person. Subhuti, those bodhisattva mahasattvas will not engage in discriminating phenomenon, nor discriminating non-phenomena, nor will they engage in discrimination nor non-discrimination. Why is that, Subhuti? Because if those bodhisattva mahasattvas engage in discriminating phenomena, that itself will be of them, grasping a self, grasping a sentient being, grasping a living person, grasping a living being, grasping a person. Because even if they engage in discriminating phenomena as non-existent, that will be of them grasping a self and grasping a sentient being, grasping a living being and grasping a person. Why is that? Further, Subhuti, because the bodhisattva should not wrongly grasp phenomena nor grasp non-phenomena. Therefore, thinking of that, the Tathagata said, if by those who know this Dharma treatise is like a boat, even Dharma should be given up. What need is there to mention non-Dharmas? Further, the Bhagavan said to Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment, exist whatsoever? Has any Dharma been taught by the Tathagata? He said that, and the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, as I understand, this meaning that was taught by the Bhagavan, that Dharma was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment, does not exist whatsoever. That Dharma that was taught by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. Why is that? Because any Dharma manifestly and completely realized or taught by the Tathagata is not to be grasped, is to be expressed, is not Dharma, nor is it non-Dharma. Why is that? Because Arya beings are differentiated by the uncompounded. The Bhagavan said to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If some son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage completely filling this billion-fold world system with the 7 types of precious things were to give gifts, do you think that son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage would produce an immense heap of merit on that basis? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, immense, Siddhartha, immense. That son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage would produce an immense heap of merit on that basis. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that very heap of merit is not a heap. Therefore, the Tathagata says, heap of merit, heap of merit. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, compared to any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who completely filling this billion-fold world system with the 7 types of precious things were to give gifts, if someone having taken even as little as 1 stanza of 4 lines from this discourse of Dharma also were to explain and correctly and thoroughly teach it to others on that basis, the heap of merit produced would be much greater, incalculable, unfathomable. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment of a Tathagata, Arhat, perfect, complete Buddhas arises from it. The Buddha Bhagavans are also produced from it. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the Buddha Dharmas called Buddha Dharmas are those Buddha Dharmas thought by the Tathagata as non-existent. Therefore, they are called Buddha Dharmas. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does a stream enterer think I have attained the result of stream enterer? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because one does not enter into anything whatsoever. Therefore, one is called stream enterer. One has not entered into form, nor into sound, nor into smell, nor into taste, nor into retactility, nor entered into a phenomenon. Therefore, one is called stream enterer. Bhagavan, if that stream enterer were to think, I have attained the result of stream enterer, that itself would be grasping as that of a self, grasping as a sentient being, grasping as a living being, grasping as a person. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the once returner think, I have attained the result of a once returner? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that? Because the phenomenon of entry into the state of the once returner does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, one says once returner. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the non-returner think I have attained the result of a non-returner? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that? Because the phenomenon of entry into the state of a non-returner does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, one says non-returner. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Arhat think I've attained the result of Arhatship? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that? Because the phenomenon called Arhat does not exist whatsoever. Bhagavan, if the Arhat were to think I have attained the result of Arhatship, that itself would be grasping as that of a self, grasping as a sentient being, grasping as a living being, grasping as a person. Bhagavan, I was declared by the Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha, as the foremost of those who abide without afflictions. Bhagavan, I am an Arhat free of attachment, but Bhagavan, I do not think I am an Arhat. Bhagavan, if I were to think I have attained Arhatship, the Tathagata would not have made the prediction about me, saying, the son of the lineage Subhuti is foremost of those who abide without afflictions. since not abiding in anything whatsoever, he abides without affliction. He abides without affliction. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does that Dharma that was received by the Tathagata from the Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha Jivakara, exist whatsoever? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. That Dharma that was received by the Tathagata from Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha Jivakara, does not exist whatsoever. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, if some bodhisattva were to say, I shall actualize arranged fields, they would speak untruly. Why is that? Subhuti, because arranged fields called arranged fields, those arrangements are taught by the Tathagata as non-existent. Therefore, they are called arranged fields. Subhuti, therefore, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva thus should generate the mind without abiding, should generate the mind not abiding in anything. They should generate the mind not abiding in form, should generate the mind not abiding in sound, smell, taste, activity, or phenomenon. Subhuti, it is like this. If, for example, the body of a being were to become thus, were to become like this, as big as Sumeru, the king of mountains, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Would that body be big? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, that body would be big. Sugata, that body would be big. Why is that? Because it is taught by the Tathagata as not being a thing. Therefore, it is called a body. Since it is taught by the Tathagata as not being a thing, therefore it is called a big body. And the Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If there were also just as many Ganges rivers as there are grains of sand in the river Ganges, would their grains of sand be many? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, if those very Ganges rivers were many, there is no need to mention their grains of sand. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, you should appreciate, you should understand. If some man or woman completely filling in the 7 kinds of precious things, that many world systems as there are grains of sand in those river Ganges, were to offer that to the Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Would that man or woman produce much merit on that basis? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, much, Sagata, much. That man or woman would produce much merit on that basis. And the Bhagavan said, Subhuti, compared to someone who, completely filling that many world systems with the 7 types of precious things, were to give gifts to the Tathagata, Arhat, perfect complete Buddhas, if someone having taken even as little as a stanza or 4 lines from this discourse of Dharma, were to explain it and correctly, thoroughly teach it to others, on that basis, the merit that itself would produce would be much greater, incalculable, unfathomable. Furthermore, Subhuti, if at whatever place on earth even a stanza of 4 lines from his discourse on Dharma is recited or taught, that place on earth is a real shrine of the world with devas, humans, and asuras. What need to mention that whoever takes up this discourse of Dharma, memorizes, reads, understands, and properly takes it to mind, will be most astonishing. At that place on earth the teacher resides, other levels of gurus also abide. He said that, and the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, what is the name of this discourse of Dharma? How should it be remembered? Let's just have a drink. He said that, and the Bhagavan replied to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, the name of this Dharma discourse is a wisdom gone beyond. It should be remembered like that. Why is that, Subhuti? Because that very same wisdom gone beyond is that taught by the Tathagata is not gone beyond. Therefore, it is called wisdom gone beyond. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Dharma that is taught by the Tathagata exist whatsoever? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, the Dharma that is taught by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Are the quantities of particles of earth that exist in a billion-fold world system many? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, the particles of earth are many, Siddhartha, they are many. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that which is a particle of earth was taught by the Tathagata as not being a particle. Therefore, it is called a particle of earth. That which is a world system was taught by the Tathagata as not being a world system. Therefore, it is called a world system. The Tathagata said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Is one to be viewed as the Tathagata perfect complete Buddha due to those 32 marks of a great being? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because those 32 marks of a great being that are taught by the Tathagata are taught by the Tathagata as no marks. Therefore, they are called 32 marks of the Tathagata. The Bhagavan said, further, Subhuti, compared with some man or woman completely giving up the body, numbering the grains of sand of the river Ganges, if someone taken even as little as a stanza of 4 lines from his discourse of Dharma also were to teach it to others, they would produce on that basis many greater merits, incalculable, unfathomable. Thereupon the Venerable Subhuti, due to the impact of the Dharma, shed tears. Having wiped away the tears, replied to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, this discourse on Dharma taught by the Tathagata. Bhagavan is astonishing, Siddhartha, it is astonishing. Bhagavan, since my production of exalted wisdom, I have never before heard this discourse on Dharma. Bhagavan, those sentient beings who have produced correct discrimination upon this sutra being explained would be most astonishing. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that which is correct discrimination is not discrimination. Therefore, correct discrimination was taught by the Tathagata saying, correct discrimination. Bhagavan, upon this Dharma discourse being explained, that I imagine and appreciate is not astonishing to me. Bhagavan, in the final time, in the final age, at the end of the 500, those sentient beings who take up this Dharma discourse, memorize, read, and understand it, will be most astonishing. Furthermore, Bhagavan, they will not engage in discriminating a self, will not engage discriminating a sentient being, discriminating a living being, discriminating a person. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that itself, which is discrimination as a self, discrimination as a sentient being, discrimination as a living being, and discrimination as a person, is not discrimination. Why is that? Because the Buddha Bhagavans are free of all discrimination. He said that, and the Bhagavan replied to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, it is so, upon this sutra being explained. Those sentient beings who are unafraid, unterrified, will not become terrified, will be most astonishing. Why is that, Subhuti? Because this highest wisdom gone beyond, taught by the Tathagata, the highest wisdom gone beyond, that is taught by the Tathagata was also taught by unfathomable Buddha Bhagavans. Therefore it is called highest wisdom gone beyond. Further, Subhuti, that is self, which is patience gone beyond, and the Tathagata has not gone beyond. Why is that, Subhuti? Because when the king of Kalinga cut off my limbs and appendages, at that time there did not arise in me discrimination as a self, discrimination as a sentient being, discrimination as a living being, nor discrimination as a person. And in me there was no discrimination whatsoever. Yet there was also no non-discrimination. Why is that, Subhuti? Because if at that time there had arisen in me discrimination as a self, at that time there would also have arisen discrimination of malice. If there had arisen discrimination as a sentient being, discrimination as a living being, discrimination as a person, at that time there would have also arisen discrimination of malice. Subhuti, I know with clairvoyance that in the past period, during 500 lifetimes, I was a rishi called preacher of patience, and even then there did not arise in me the discrimination as a self, there did not arise the discrimination as a sentient being, discrimination as a living being, discrimination as a person. Subhuti, therefore, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, completely abandoning all discrimination, should generate the mind for unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. One should generate the mind not abiding in form, one should generate the mind not abiding in sound, smell, taste, utility, or phenomenon. One should generate the mind not abiding in non-phenomenon either. One should generate the mind not abiding in anything whatsoever. Why is that? Because that itself which is abiding does not abide. Therefore the Tathagata taught, the Bodhisattva should gifts not abiding. Further, Subhuti, the Bodhisattva should thus totally give away gifts for the welfare of all sentient beings. However, that itself which is discrimination as a sentient being is non-discrimination. Those themselves who were taught by the Tathagata saying, all sentient beings also do not exist. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the Tathagata teaches reality, teaches truth, teaches what is. The Tathagata teaches what is without error. Further, Subhuti, the Dharma is manifestly completely realized or shown by the Tathagata has no truth nor falsity. Subhuti, it is like this. For example, if a man with eyes has entered darkness, he does not see anything whatsoever. Likewise, should one view the Bodhisattva who totally gives up a gift by falling into anything. Subhuti, it is like this. For example, upon dawn and the sun rising, a man with eyes sees various kinds of forms. Likewise, should one view the Bodhisattva who totally gives up a gift by not falling into anything. Further, Subhuti, those sons of the lineage or daughters of the lineage who take up his Dharma discourse, memorize, read, understand, correctly, thoroughly teach to others in detail, are known by the Tathagata. They are seen by the Tathagata. All those sentient beings who produce an unfathomable heap of merit. Further, Subhuti, compared to some man or woman at the time of dawn, totally giving up bodies numbering the grains of sand of the river Ganges, also totally giving up bodies numbering the grains of sand of the river Ganges at the time of midday and evening. In such number, totally giving up bodies for as many 100,000 to 10 million, 100 billion eons. If someone having heard this Dharma discourse would not reject it, if they themselves would produce much greater merit on that basis, incalculable, unfathomable, what need to mention someone who, having written it in letters, takes it up, memorized, reads it, understands it, and correctly and thoroughly teaches it to others in detail. Further, Subhuti, this Dharma discourse is unimaginable and incomparable. The Dharma discourse was taught by the Tathagata for the benefit of sentient beings who have correctly entered into supreme vehicle, the welfare of sentient beings who correctly entered into the best vehicle. Those who take this Dharma discourse, memorize, read, understand, correctly and thoroughly teach it to others in detail, are known by the Tathagata, they're seen by the Tathagata. All those sentient beings were endowed with an unfathomable heap of merit. Being endowed with an unimaginable heap of merit, incomparable, immeasurable, and limitless, all those sentient beings will hold my enlightenment on the shoulder. Why is that, Subhuti? This Dharma discourse is unable to be heard by those who appreciate the inferior, by those viewing a self, by those viewing a sentient being, by those viewing a living being, and those viewing a person, are unable to hear, to take up, memorize, read, understand, because that cannot be. Further, Subhuti, at whatever place on earth this sutra is taught, that place on earth will become worthy to be paid homage by the world devas, humans, and asuras. Place on earth will become worthy as an object of prostration and worthy as an object of circumambulation. That place on earth will become like a shrine. Subhuti, whatever son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage takes up the words of a sutra like this, memorize, reads, and understand they will be tormented, will be immensely tormented. Why is that, Subhuti? Because whatever non-virtuous actions of former lifetimes that were committed by those sentient beings, that will bring rebirth in the lower realms. Due to the torment in this very life, those non-victorious, virtuous actions of former lifetimes will be purified, and they will also retain the enlightenment of a Buddha. Subhuti, I know with clairvoyance that in the past period, in even more countless eons, much beyond, even beyond, to Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha Dipankara, there are 84,000, hundred thousands of 10 million, 100 billion Buddhas whom I pleased, and having pleased did not upset. Subhuti, from whatever I did, having pleased and not having upset those Buddha Bhagavans, and in the future period at the end of the 500, from someone taking up this sutra, memorizing, reading, and understanding, Subhuti, compared to this heap of merit, the former heap of merit does not approach even 100th part, 1,000th part, 100,000th part, does not withstand enumeration, measure, calculation, similarity, equivalence, or comparison. Subhuti, at that time, the sons of the lineage or daughters of the lineage will receive a quantity of a heap of merit that, if I were to express the heap of merit of those sons of the lineage or daughters of the lineage, sentient beings would go mad, would be disturbed. Further, Subhuti, this Dharma discourse, being unimaginable, its maturation indeed should also be known as unimaginable. And then the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, how should one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle abide? How practice, how control the mind? The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, here, one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should generate the mind thinking this. I shall cause all sentient beings to pass completely beyond sorrow into the realm of nirvana without remainder of the aggregates. All those sentient beings were caused to pass completely beyond sorrow. Like that, no sentient being whatsoever was caused to pass beyond sorrow. Why is that, Subhuti? Because if a bodhisattva engages in discriminating a sentient being, he is not to be called a bodhisattva. Also, if he engages in discriminating a person, he is not to be called a bodhisattva. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the Dharma called one who is correctly into the bodhisattva's vehicle does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Dharma that was manifestly completely realized, the Tathagata from the Tathagata Dipankara, unsurpassed perfect complete enlightenment exists whatsoever? He said that, and the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized in the Tathagata from the Tathagata Dipankara, unsurpassed perfect complete enlightenment does not exist whatsoever. He said that, and the Bhagavan replied to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, it is so, it is so. That Dharma that was manifestly completely realized in the Tathagata from the Tathagata Dipankara, unsurpassed perfect complete enlightenment does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, if that Dharma was manifestly completely realized and the Tathagata were to exist at all, Tathagata Dipankara would not have made the prediction to me saying, young Brahman, in a future period you'll become a Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha called Shakyamuni. Subhuti, thus, since that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed perfect complete enlightenment does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, the Tathagata Dipankara made the prediction me, saying, young Brahman, in the future period you'll become a Tathagata, perfect complete Buddha called Shakyamuni. And why is that? Because Subhuti, Tathagata is an epithet of suchness reality. Excuse me. Subhuti, if some were to say, the Tathagata Arhat, perfect complete Buddha manifested, completely realized, unsurpassed, perfect complete enlightenment, they would speak wrongly. Why is that, Subhuti? Because that Dharma that was manifested, completely realized with the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, that Dharma that was manifested, completely realized with the Tathagata is neither truth nor falsity. Therefore, all Dharmas are Buddha Dharmas, was taught by the Tathagata. Subhuti, all Dharmas, all those are non-Dharmas. Therefore, it is said that all Dharmas are Buddha Dharmas. Subhuti, it is like this. For example, like a human endowed with a body, and the body became large. The Venerable Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, that taught by the Tathagata, a human endowed with a body and a large body, is taught by the Tathagata as not being a body. Therefore, endowed with a body and a large body is said. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, it is so. If some bodhisattva were to say, I shall call sentient beings completely passed beyond sorrow, he should not be called bodhisattva. Why is that, Subhuti? Does the Dharma that is called bodhisattva exist whatsoever? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it does not. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, therefore it was taught by the Tathagata that all dharmas are without a sentient being, without a living being, without a person. Subhuti, if some bodhisattva were to say, I shall actualize arranged fields, he too should be expressed similarly. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the arranged fields called arranged fields are those taught by the Tathagata as non-arranged. Therefore they are called arranged fields. Subhuti, whatever bodhisattva appreciates the dharmas are selfless, saying dharmas are selfless, he is expressed by the Tathagata, perfect complete Buddha, as a bodhisattva called a bodhisattva. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Tathagata possess a flesh eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, the Tathagata possesses a flesh eye. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Tathagata possess a divine eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, the Tathagata possesses a divine eye. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Tathagata possess a wisdom eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, the Tathagata possesses a wisdom eye. The Tathagata said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Tathagata possess a Dharma eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, the Tathagata possesses a Dharma eye. The Tathagata said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Tathagata possess the Buddha eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, the Tathagata possesses the Buddha eye. And the Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If there being also just as many Ganges rivers there are grains of sand in the river Ganges, there were just as many world systems as there are grains of sand of those. Would those world systems be many? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, those world systems would be many. And the Bhagavan said, Subhuti, as many sentient beings exist in those world systems, I totally know the continuum of consciousness of different thoughts. And why is that, Subhuti? Because so-called continuum of consciousness is that taught by the Tathagata as non-continuum. Therefore, it is called continuum of consciousness. Why is that, Subhuti? Because past consciousness does not exist as an observable, nor does future consciousness exist as an observable, nor does present consciousness exist as an observable. Subhuti, what do you think about this? If someone completely filling this billion-fold world system with the 7 types of precious things were to give gifts, do you think that son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage would produce an enormous heap of merit on that basis? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, enormous, Sagata, enormous. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, it is so, that son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage would produce an enormous heap of merit on that basis. Subhuti, if a heap of merit were a heap of merit, the Tathagata would not have taught a heap of merit called a heap of merit. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Should one be viewed as the Tathagata due to the total achievement of the form body? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. One should not be reviewed as the Tathagata due to total achievement of the form body. And why is that, Bhagavan? Because total achievement of the form body is that taught by the Tathagata as not being total achievement. Therefore, it is called total achievement of the form body. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Is one to be viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. One is not to be viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. Why is that? Because that which is taught by the Tathagata as perfect marks is taught by the Tathagata as not being perfect marks. Therefore, they are called perfect marks. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If it is thought the Tathagata considers the Dharma as demonstrated by me, Subhuti, do not view it like that, because the Dharma that is demonstrated by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, if someone were to say the Dharma is demonstrated by the Tathagata, Subhuti, he would not deprecate me, since it is demonstrated by the Tathagata. Subhuti, he will deprecate me since non-existent and wrongly sees. Why is that, Subhuti? Because that demonstrated Dharma called demonstrated Dharma, which is referred to saying demonstrated Dharma, does not exist whatsoever. Then the Venerable Subhuti said to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, in the future period, will there be any sentient beings who, having heard this demonstration of such a Dharma as this, will clearly believe? The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, they are not sentient beings nor non-sentient beings. Why is that, Subhuti, so-called sentient beings? Because they were taught by the Tathagata as non-sentient beings, therefore they are called sentient beings. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment, exist whatsoever? The Venerable Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment, does not exist whatsoever. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, it is so. For it, even the least Dharma does not exist and is not observed. Therefore, it is called unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Further, Subhuti, that Dharma is equivalent, since for it in equivalence does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, it is called unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. That unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment, equivalent is selfless, without sentient being, without living being, without person, is manifestly completely realized through all virtuous dharmas. Subhuti, virtuous dharmas called virtuous dharmas. They taught by the Tathagata as just non-dharmas are therefore called virtuous dharmas. Further, Subhuti, compared to any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage, collecting a heap of the 7 types of precious things, about equaling whatever Sumeru, king of mountains, exists in a billion world systems, and giving gifts. If someone having given up even as little as stanza of 4 lines from this wisdom gone beyond were to teach it to others, Subhuti, compared to this heap of merit, the former heap of merit, having not approached even 100th part, does not withstand comparison. Subhuti, what do you think about this? If it is thought that the Tathagata considers sentient beings are liberated by me, Subhuti, do not view it like that. Why is that, Subhuti? Because those sentient beings who are liberated by the Tathagata do not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, if some sentient being were to be liberated by the Tathagata, that itself would be of the Tathagata grasping a self, grasping a sentient being, grasping a living being, grasping a person. Subhuti, so-called grasping a self, that is taught by the Tathagata as non-grasping, yet that is grasped by childish ordinary beings. Subhuti, so-called childish ordinary beings, they were taught by the Tathagata as just non-beings. Therefore, they are called childish ordinary beings. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Is one to be viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. One is not to be viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, it is so, it is so. One is not viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. Subhuti, if one were viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks, even a Chakravartin king would be the Tathagata. Therefore, one is not viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. Then Venerable Subhuti said to the Bhagavan, Bhagavan, as I understand the meaning of what the Bhagavan has said, one is not viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. And then those verses were spoken by the Bhagavan at that time. Whoever sees me as form, whoever knows me as sound, having wrongly engaged by abandoning, those beings do not see me. The Buddhas are Dhammata, viewed, the guides are the Dhammakaya. Since Dhammata is not to be known, it is unable to be known. Subhuti, what do you think about this? If one grasps that the Tathagata are perfect complete Buddha is due to perfect marks, Subhuti, you should not view so. For Subhuti, the Tathagata are perfect complete Buddha does not manifest in completely realize unsurpassed perfect complete enlightenment due to perfect marks. Subhuti, if one grasps that some Dharma has been designated as destroyed or annihilated by those who have correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle, Subhuti, it should not be viewed so. Those who have correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle have not designated any Dharma whatsoever as destroyed or annihilated. Furthermore, further Subhuti, compared to any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage, who completely fill in the 7 kinds of precious things, as many world systems there are grains of sand of the river Ganges, were to give gifts. If any Bodhisattva retained forbearance, the Dharmas are selfless and unproduced. On that base, a heap of merit they themselves would produce would be much greater. Further, Subhuti, a heap of merit should not be acquired by the Bodhisattva. The Venerable Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, should not a heap of merit be acquired by the Bodhisattva? The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, acquire, not wrongly grasp. Therefore it is called acquire. Subhuti, if someone says the Tathagata goes or comes or stands or sits or lies down, he does not understand the meaning explained by me. Why is that, Subhuti? Because the Tathagata, the one gone thus, does not go anywhere, nor has come from anywhere. Therefore one says the Tathagata are perfect complete Buddha. Further, Subhuti, if some son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage were to render as many atoms of earth as exist in a billion-fold world systems, like this, for example, into a powder like a collection of subtlest atoms. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Would that collection of subtlest atoms be many? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is so, that collection of subtlest atoms would be many. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because if there were a collection of the Bhagavan, the Bhagavan would not have said a collection of subtlest atoms. Why is that? Because that collection of subtlest atoms that was taught by the Bhagavan was taught by the Tathagata as no collection. Therefore one says collection of subtlest atoms. The billion-fold world system that was taught by the Tathagata was taught by the Tathagata as no system. Therefore one said billion-fold world system. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because if there were to be a world system, that itself would be grasping as a solid thing. That taught by the Tathagata as grasping as a solid thing was taught by the Tathagata as no grasping. One says grasping a solid thing. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, grasping a solid thing is itself convention. That Dharma does not exist as expressed, yet it is grasped by ordinary childish beings. Subhuti, if someone were to say viewing as a self was taught by the Tathagata, and view as a sentient being, view as a living being, view as a person, was taught by the Tathagata. Subhuti, would that be spoken by right speech? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it would not. Zagata, it would not. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that which is taught by the Tathagata is viewing itself, taught by the Tathagata is no viewing. Therefore, one says viewing itself. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, those who have correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should know, should view, should appreciate all dharmas like this. They should appreciate like this, not abiding whatsoever in any discrimination as a dharma. Why is that, Subhuti? Because discrimination as a dharma called discrimination as a dharma, taught by the Tathagata is non-discrimination. Therefore, one says discrimination as a dharma. Further, Subhuti, compared to any bodhisattva, mahasattva who completely filling unfathomable and incalculable world systems with 7 kinds of precious things who to give gifts. If any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who haven't taken as little as a stanza or 4 lines from this perfection of wisdom were to memorize or read or understand or correctly and thoroughly teach to others in detail, on that basis the merit he himself would produce would be more incalculable, unfathomable. How should one correctly and thoroughly teach? Just how one would not correctly and thoroughly teach. Therefore, one says correctly and thoroughly teach. A star, visual aberration, a lamp, an illusion, dew, a bubble, a dream, lightning, and a cloud. View all the compounded like that. Thus, having been said by the Bhagavan, the elder Subhuti, those bodhisattvas are fourfold disciples, bhikshunis, bhikshunis, upasakas, and upaseekas, and the whole world with devas, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, overjoyed, highly praise that taught by the Bhagavan. The exalted Mahayana Sutra on the wisdom gone beyond, called the Vajra Cutter, is concluded. We'll just have another drink, and then we'll finish off from within the Sangata Sutra book and Appendix 6. So now that we've finished reciting this first sutra, visualize that the sentient beings you have been reciting the sutra to are all liberated from the causes of suffering. Their causes of delusions are purified and they all become enlightened. And then we dedicate the merit and then rejoice. So dedicating the merit to every single living being, may they quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha. May we lead them to that state by ourselves alone. And rejoice, rejoicing over and over in your mind. How wonderful, how precious. Reciting sutras for these extensive benefits is how the Bodhisattva Samanabhadra practiced, using extensive visualizations. And the next page. May the kindness of the Buddha as embodied within this wondrous sutra fill the hearts of all beings and turn them all to virtue. Just as this Vajra Cutter Sutra has existed for many centuries until now in the world only to benefit, may the Buddha Dharma remain for eons more to bring comfort and aid to all. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow. May that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Okay, so thank you. It's 10 to 3. So we'll have a 10-minute break and then we'll continue with Root Institute's recitation. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Did you hear that there? Yes. Yes. Is that from the bottom? Yeah. She'll just hold it for 10 minutes. I'll just be back in 10 minutes. Okay? Cool. See you shortly.